Hello Dumaguete, hello Negros Oriental, and hello Sillimanians around the world. This is Joshua Soldivillo, and you are watching #Silliman. For #Silliman updates, Rodora Angela Ferrer, Executive Director of the Private Education Assistance Committee, visited Silliman University last August 4, 2022. The Private Education Assistance Committee, or PEAC, is a 5-member committee constituted to serve as trustee of the Fund for Assistance to Private Education, a permanent and irrevocable trust fund. Silliman University has been one of its partners and beneficiaries through the years. Hibalag 2022 is here. The SUSG Committee on Student Organizations released its teaser video last August 4, 2022. Different activities are expected to happen this August 19 to 29 as the entire Silliman University community witnesses a new floral season unfold. #Hibalag in full bloom. Dear Sillimanians, the first semester school year 2022 to 23 academic scholarship for continuing college students is now open for applications. Deadline for application is on September 15, 2022. For more information, you may call the Office of Registrar and Admissions at 422-6002, Local 245, or visit the Silliman University site, that's www.su.edu.ph. That will be all. See you next week for another set of #Silliman updates. Mayong gabi sa tanan, especially to all Sillimanians around the world, making #Silliman as your Monday night habit. We hope that as you usher the month of August, you are in your excellent state of health. And of course, it means that we are going to celebrate the Founders Day anniversary of Silliman University for the how many years? I think this is the 121st founding anniversary of Silliman University. But of course, one of the programs that really stood the test of time is the Service Learning program of Silliman University. And then we are happy tonight that we are joined by its forerunner. We have Assistant Professor Deborah Salem. Ma'am Debbie, good evening and welcome to the program.
Thank you, Joshua, and good evening, everybody.
All right, Ma'am Debbie, let's begin our conversation talking about service learning. And for the interest of those who are eavesdropping this conversation, what do we really mean by service learning? What is it and how do you do it?
Okay, before I get to service learning, let me touch a little bit on high-impact pedagogy. Okay, high-impact pedagogy are those that make significant differences to students' persistence, learning outcome, and student success. Here at Silliman, we use different kinds of high-impact pedagogy. We have collaborative assignments and projects. We have undergraduate research. We have internship and service learning. So service learning is a high-impact pedagogy. For its definition, it is a course-based experiential learning strategy. It engages the students in meaningful service with a community partner while employing ongoing reflection to draw out connections between the service and the course content. Okay, so it's embedded in a course, so there has to be a connection between the service and what is what the course contains.
Okay. Right, so that's a very interesting definition, Ma'am Debbie. In fact, very comprehensive. And I think we treat it as a pedagogy. Where is our classroom in this particular case?
Well, the classroom is both in the physical classroom and in the community. Okay, there are 4 critical elements in the service learning. So the first critical element, Joshua, is the university. Silliman has already institutionalized service learning. And there are many universities that also institutionalize service learning. Okay, so this is where service learning takes place. Then we have the students, the ones who do the service and who learn. Okay, are students who are enrolled in the university. Then we have the third one. The third element is the faculty. The faculty who is handling the class where service learning is embedded. The faculty is in charge of mediating learning of the students, because when they go out of the community, they get so many inputs. And so the teacher has to help them thresh through all these inputs so that learning takes place. Okay, and then the community. The fourth element is the community. Okay, that's where the students go to serve, and that's where the students learn. Okay, the four key features of service learning, we call it the 4 R's, no? Is the first one is real. When you say service learning is real, it means it's experiential in nature. Okay, it's not just in the textbook, not only theories, but it's real. The students are really exposed to it. The second is there's responsibilities. The students have the obligation of citizenship. When they serve, it's not just serving for the grade, but they're serving to improve and to do something about the community. The third is reciprocity. Okay, it's not only one side that gains from the program. It's both sides. So the students serve in the community, at the same time they learn. The community provides the service, the learning experience, and they gain also from the service of the students. So there's that reciprocity. And finally, there is that reflection. This is a structured opportunity for students to critically think about their service and apply their learning to broader academic, social, and personal context. Here at Silliman, we have two groups of students doing service learning. We have the Silliman students, because since it's embedded, all the academic units have identified courses where service learning is embedded and where students do service learning. So Silliman students go out to the field. Okay, national partners, they come here and serve in the community. Okay, so there.
All right, Ma'am Debbie. So that's very interesting to know that service learning is really more than being focused on the textbook, being able to memorize all these principles, but also put things into application. And I think have takeaways in the experiences that you do in your interactions and immersion in the community. Ma'am Debbie, you mentioned that we treat service learning more than a community activity. In fact, you said it is a high impact pedagogy. So since it is in a context of a pedagogy, how do you do assessment in a service learning approach?
The assessments are developed, the way the program is assessed are developed by the individual academic units, because they have different objectives. They're okay, the way they accomplish it, the process, and so they do that. But it is very important that they do assess the impact of service learning. Now, for the community, the Office of Community Engagement and Service Learning, or OCE, also ways of assessing the impact of service learning in general. No? So assessment of its impact on the community partners. We have been, after every service learning, we gather together and we let them, okay, give their feedbacks to us in terms of how was it, how did we impact them, what were the learnings, what were maybe the difficulties, challenges, and some of their suggestions. Novi Maestrecampo, who is the assistant to the director of OCESL, has been developing this checklists so that we can give the community partners the checklist for after every engagement. Then we have the students in service learning. Like I'll pick give the example of the international service learning. Aside from the international students, we have Silliman bodies. So they're also engaged in service learning. So after service learning, they also do the assessment. They have a different set of assessments. So we want to see whether we are really doing something about the experience, or we're really making an impact. Now, and if a case, an example for one of our community partners, our international partners, the International Christian University, their assessment is developed by the university. And sometimes they give us assessment of also how we measure, how we evaluate the students. So you can do it many ways, Joshua. Okay.
And I think that's a good news because that we don't only observe a one-way assessment, not only in terms of the learning of our students, but we also get to see the impact of that student learning service that we do to the community, to our partners, and even those who are involved. And I think that's pretty holistic. Now, ma'am, you've been mentioning lots of names already with the partner universities. Locally, who are our stakeholders and who have been our loyal partners?
Okay, our stakeholders, we have so many community partners. Over the years, we have developed this relationship. And when we go to them and tell them we're going to start service learning, and they get excited. Now we get to interact and learn from Silliman students, and not only learn from Silliman students, they give the Silliman students the opportunity to serve and to learn. So it makes them feel that they are doing something about the education of students. They're not only in the receiving end.
Right.
Okay, we have for this, the latest service learning program that we had with an international partner, we have Casa Esperanza, that's under CSWDO. We have Dumaguete Youth Home. These are children in conflict with the law, and it's also under CSWDO. And we have a private organization, Little Children of the Philippines. Okay. But aside from that, there are schools. Schools become our partners because when service learners would indicate that they would like to serve in a school setting, so we tap the schools that we already have partnerships. Okay, that's only a few of the many, Joshua.
I think it will eat up more time if we go from the start to the bottom of the list.
Yes.
Right. And that's a good thing, no? Because we continue to make synergies with different institutions, locally, internationally, and regionally. Ma'am Debbie, I'm sure all of us have been affected by the pandemic in one way or the other. It marinated all of us in isolation. What was also the effect of the pandemic in your service learning activities? Did you do virtual transitions as well? And how did you do it?
Okay, when the pandemic came and we really closed shop, I mean, the university shut down, okay? That was 2019. We did not have any, we had one last group of service learners before we closed down. And then for 2020, we didn't have any service learning at all. We were just trying to find ways of how we could address and get the students to do service learning. But then in 2021, we developed a program to do fully online service learning with International Christian University.
Wow.
So yes, it was interesting, and we liked the feedback, and so the students of International Christian University would set up their laptops, and we would meet up with the students and the children in the community, and they would conduct their activities. It was really very much trying to learn culture, sharing the language, and trying to build up the children so that they feel that somebody cares for them, even from overseas. Somebody is there willing to interact with them. And so one feedback that I really liked, when I thought that this was really the advantage of online, because sometimes we think, online, no, it's
we had that.
it's not nice. But then the feedback of the children in the fully online service learning is we got to see Japan virtually, because the service learners in Japan would turn on their cameras, and they would travel on the train with the student, and the children in the agencies would look at the video. Right. And they were also brought to a tour in their the campus, the ICU campus. They were made to see their dorm. They said, we want to see where you have street food. And so one of the service learners in Japan really traveled a little further from where she was just to show where street food was sold. And they said they were excited because they're very used to bringing, when we have service learners here, we bring the students to the boulevard to eat street food, the tempura
Right.
and the balut. Okay, so they wanted to see what kind of street foods do the Japanese have. Okay, so that way they even got to experience to see the homes. They show their homes
Right.
and their families. So it was nice.
So in
You
other
can't do that when you have face-to-face service learning.
Yeah, definitely. And as I was about to say, the technology has really how do you call this one? Made your service learning experience borderless. I mean, it
Yes.
yeah, it even made the impossible possible, right? Do you think, given the experience that you have, Ma'am Debbie, with respect to integrating technology and virtual setups in service learning. You will be incorporating that in your future plans for the service learning office?
Yes, yes, Joshua. Actually, this fully online service learning has been happening for almost 10 years already in the United States, where the students, especially those who are working, don't have to really travel far to do face-to-face service learning. They can do it through online. Okay, and we are with the pandemic here, and we're supposed to live with a new normal with COVID in our midst. We have developed 3 programs so that we could adjust depending on the level of what you call this for COVID, what
Right.
level that we would have.
Yeah.
If we have level 1, we can allow fully face-to-face, so the students can really go out to the community. If it's level 2, we will have partial face-to-face, and some of the activities will be online, so that we would limit the exposure of the students. If it's level 3, then it's fully online. So yes, we're going to be using that already.
Yeah. So I think that's part of the changes, positive changes that you have embraced in your office and in your team. And speaking of changes, I'm sure also a lot of factors have been evolving through time. So may I just ask, Ma'am Debbie, in your observation as a service learning specialist, what is the evolution trail that service learning is taking with respect to the changes in technology, given the pandemic and even other situations right now? How do you see service learning in the future? Will it evolve more into, say, much more complex, or say perhaps it will loosens or it will lose its relevance, or it will even become more relevant? What do you think, Ma'am Debbie?
Well, for service learning to be relevant and to have an impact, it has to evolve. And so it's just the creativity of the universities, of the academic units, and how to do it so that we do not lose relevance. Silliman was host to the Asia Pacific Regional Conference. That's an international conference of service learning universities that use service learning, and we meet every other year. And we hosted that last year, and it was fully online also.
Right.
And it was nice because the schools had a chance to share, how do we do it, what's your best practice now with COVID around, how do we do it? Okay, so I don't really think it's going to lose its relevance, and it's not going to lose its impact. It will continue, and as long as people are really dedicated to use it as a pedagogy.
Right. Ma'am Debbie, I'm sure you have documented a lot of personal reflections, or I'm not sure, maybe some of your buddies or some of the students have shared their favorite parts of doing service learning. If you may share to us, so far, what has been the common denominator that students love and even the partner communities love about service learning?
Okay. I am one teacher that uses service learning in my classes here at Silliman, and I get to read the reflection of the students, and I like the way it's really inspiring how they say, it has changed my life. Okay, one group that I cannot forget was they would say that it has changed the way I look at how the kind of privileges I have. They were working with children coming from very low income families, and so sometimes they would decide, like, where do we take our snacks, what are we going to have for snacks, go downtown and go to these fast foods. But then when they were doing service learning, they would say, okay, what do we have for snacks? And then they'd say, oh, I think I'd just like to save my money so that I can use my money to buy materials to give to use for the children in the community. And she said, I just we see, Mom, how really how much we have in our families and how much we would like to share. So when I look at that, when I listen to that, it touches my heart. So it has an impact on the students. And what we're trying to do now is try to do the trail, the follow up, the students who have done service learning and ask them, has the impact of service learning, how it has affected them as professionals, whether there is. And I did get, it's not formal, but some of my students would say, Mom, I have not forgotten what I experienced when I saw the realities of the community. Okay, so they don't forget. So that's what makes me want to keep going with service learning. It's not easy because you have to go to the community, you have responsibility of making sure the students are safe. Yeah, it is. And you have to really prepare the program ahead of time. It's not something that you just do like, oh, okay, I'll do service learning. No, it has to be prepared to go with the course, okay, the course content.
All right. So I think that's pretty much the fuel that drives us to continue things in doing service learning. Debbie, you've mentioned that service learning is not something new. And in fact, incorporating technology or virtual mixtures to service learning is not also something new. And I'm sure other institutions in the region, in the country, are also doing service learning. But what do you think is the distinguishing characteristic of Silliman University's service learning, the Silliman way?
Okay. The Silliman motto, serve to learn, learn to serve. And I'm going to give the example in the international context. We don't only have the international students here doing their service learning, but they are partnered with Silliman bodies. So the Silliman bodies become cultural guides, they become translators, they are co-learners. And I think that kind of a setup where you have the international student and the Silliman student, it really enhances the kind of learning, because aside from just looking at it in terms of academics, and mind you, they are serious with their academics because they're graded. But beyond that, there is that kind of friendship that is forged. And I think that kind of friendship lasts. Even until they become adults, they become professionals, I said, or they're here to visit us, or things like that. So that kind of, I think that's kind of the characteristic that makes us different as service learning.
All right, Ma'am Demi, we're running out of time for this episode. I would love to hear all of your experiences and all the sharings that your family members shared to you as well. But to wrap our conversation up, I'd like to ask you, so far in doing all of the service learning activities that you've been doing through the years in Silliman University, Ma'am, what is your major takeaway or what is your major learning?
Oh, the heart. That's the major takeaway I see. I see the development of the heart of the service learner, the student. I have several, but one student I'm going to point out is after his service learning, I thought I already gave him his grade. I thought he's not in the community anymore. But when I went to the community, he was there. And I said, what are you doing here? You already have a grade. And said, Mom, I still want to serve on my own. So he joined the OCESL volunteers. Okay, we have that volunteer program, volunteerism program, also in the university. So our students can transition from service learning, a required activity, and they can become volunteers. And it's not required. And they're under the supervision of OCESL. So that's the changes in the heart and the changes in the life. That's one thing that I can really bring with me even after I retire.
All right, thank you so much for your sharing, Ma'am Debbie. We appreciate all the efforts that you do, and I would agree, no, hats off to our service learning family in Silliman University, because it's not an easy job to coordinate with the communities, to withstand unpredictable weather conditions, and of course, the risk of going in the community. So hats off to you guys for making sure that our students and partners locally and internationally will have a worthwhile experience with Silliman University. So Ma'am Debbie, it's your turn to experience the fast talk for this episode. So all you have to do is to not think too hard of the options that we'll be giving to you. Are you ready, Ma'am Debbie?
Thank you for having me, Joshua, for allowing us to share service learning. It is very close to our hearts, those who are with service learning, and we are finding many new ways in using service learning and giving the students more learning experience. One of the latest one is helping in disasters. Service learning students in working with the disaster situation here at Silliman. We have a program also. So that's it. And I hope that it encourages or it motivates the students and make them look forward to have service learning in their classes.
All right, Ma'am Debbie. So we're not yet done. So I will just have to give you two options, Ma'am Debbie. And then all you have to do is just choose one option. Okay? So are you ready, ma'am? Our first line of choice, ma'am, is it cheese bread or siopao? Baked siopao.
Baked siopao.
Okay. Ma'am Debbie, are you more of a night owl or an early bird?
I'm a night owl.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Is it the library or the SU amphitheater?
Amphitheater.
Debbie, what do you think is the most beautiful spot in the university?
The quadrangle where you can see the church. And when you turn around, you can see the ocean.
Ma'am Debbie, top 3 words that comes to mind when you hear the word service learning.
The heart, the mind, and the hands. That's service learning.
So beautiful, Ma'am Debbie. Okay, Ma'am Debbie.
Yes.
Your favorite colleague in the university? Kidding. Just kidding. All right. So thank you so much, Ma'am Debbie, for joining our episode tonight. And we have come to the last segment of the show. It's called #WTP Word to Ponder. So in this episode, we are going to choose a word that will represent our conversation. And I think that will be no less than the word love. You know, love for yourself, love for the community, love for learning. So essentially, everything boils down to love. And I think it's just similar to the teaching of Jesus that you just have to love your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. And of course, you have to love others as you love yourself. So go to the world and love each other. Thank you for joining our episode tonight, and to God be the glory.
Hey there, Sillimanians! Daghang salamat for joining and watching #Silliman tonight. Don't forget to follow our social media accounts. On Facebook, it's called #Silliman. And don't forget to click the notification button of our YouTube channel. It's called #Silliman. Also, continue to watch us on Field Products Channel 6 every Monday, 8 p.m. Replays are Tuesday before the noontime news and every Saturday after the noontime news. This has been Joshua Soldivillo. See you next week, only here on #Silliman.